Well guys, it finally happened. My saxophone decided it could not take me anymore and got enough leaks and bent springs that I finally had to take it into a shop and get it repaired. So to commemorate my 5-day personal hell, I'm going to be demonstrating all the tools and techniques I use to keep my saxophone in top condition without having to pay a professional to look at it. I'm also going to be testing out KeyLeave's GapCap product to see if it really works to keep your saxophone safe and secure in its case. So you'll be getting to see my live test and reaction to it. Let's get started. Alright, let's see what the inside of my case looks like. So this is a Hiscox alto saxophone case, and one thing that's really great about these cases is they have this wide bell space. So if you have a Selmer or a Japanese horn that has the extended bell, it fits just fine in here. Of course, that's not very useful for me with a Y62. And it actually can be a little problematic, and this is the best way to test if your horn sits well in its case, is you grab your horn by the bell, and you watch this top area. See how I'm getting that little bit of wiggle space? We don't want that, because that means every single time you're hitting your case against something, your horn is banging around inside the case. Now, I use just the stock cap, and this helps a little bit. If you still have that, absolutely keep it on your horn when it's in the case. But the GapCap by KeyLeave's claims to solve this problem by creating a little more pressure on that wall. So let's find out if it actually works. If you really don't care about the GapCap because your saxophone's already sitting well, you can skip ahead in this video. Alright, so I've got the GapCap straight from Seattle. Sorry to all my sustainability friends. I actually dropped out of the sustainability program at college because I could not participate in anything with no bike and a musician schedule. So jazz before the earth, I guess. Cracking this bad boy open. There's a piece of paper inside. Cards, that's great. I got the green model of this, which is a little bit cheaper than the silver or gold. But if you're looking for that classy look, of course, they're all the same quality product. This is what the packaging looks like. It's pretty cool packaging, actually. I really like that. It says alto on it, that's good. That means they gave me the right one. Crack that open. There's some funky paper inside. Woohoo. Oh, and it comes in this nice little bag. And there it is. Look at that. You can see it says I'm holding it upside down. Oh, it's going to be backwards for you guys anyway, isn't it? But just looking at this, it has a little give to it so that it'll give a pressure seal. It's a nice material. I'm wondering if that's some type of hard rubber. It doesn't feel quite as hard as the saxophone mouthpiece. But it twists up and down, and the idea is that you twist that to line up with the roof of your saxophone. And it's got this little locking mechanism so that it can't twist, or maybe it can. I'm going to read the instructions really fast so we know we're doing this correctly. So here is a close-up of the GapCap. It's got this really swanky green color. I know it also comes in silver and gold, but silver and gold are about 20 bucks more, and even with my 30% off code that I found, I don't like spending money. I also really like the color green. You can see the cap part has this little squeezable feature. It's got some bend to it so that it will apply pressure to the edge of your saxophone without actually damaging it. And the screw screws out pretty far, but if I move it out too far, you'll see we get this part where it turns white, which tells you the GapCap's no longer going to be effective. So you're going to want it a little lower. I really don't see my saxophone needing it to go much higher than that. Then we also have this locking mechanism that you move down so that it holds at that spot. I can't do that with one hand though. So we're going to go downstairs and I'm going to demonstrate it for realsies. Alright, time to put this thing on my horn. Goodbye, stock cap. Hello, GapCap. So I'm just going to pinch this so that it goes in. And it's going to naturally expand to whatever size is correct. I'm going to spin the locking mechanism down before I try and shove this in the case. And I'm going to stick it in. I'm going to screw this up until it starts to get kind of that nasty sound against the case. I'm going to make sure the locking mechanism is down as far as it will go. it looks like that. So you can see this side of the GapCap is pressed against the top of the case, and this side is down flush with the cap of the saxophone. Now for the bell test. Oh, and there is no jiggle at all. Look at that. I mean, seriously, even if I totally manhandle this case and just go, I'm getting no movement up here, which is absolutely wonderful. So, if you are having this issue, I think the GapCap is a huge success. Cool color, works well. The plastic and the metal all seem to be a good material, high quality. I see no reason not to get this product, really. I think this is a great purchase. I think it was somewhere around 40 bucks, which sounds expensive, but when you consider just how much money I've put into this horn, $40 to keep it in better condition is practically nothing. So anyway, buy a GapCap and let's get on with my other tricks. The one problem I have with the Hiscox cases is that there's really not much space to put all your gear, so you really have to space maximize. And I know that's a common problem among a lot of saxophone cases. So one solution I have found is using a sock to hold your neck inside your bell. This is a really fluffy sock. I bought it from somewhere in Las Vegas. I don't even remember, but I've never had an issue with it, and it seems to protect both the neck and the inside of the bell very nicely. I tried to find a Kiwi product for these because for a really long time, Kiwi made mouthpiece and neck bags, cushioned cases. But for whatever reason, when I tried to research them, I could not find anywhere to buy them. I'm not sure if they're actually making them anymore. So a fuzzy sock will work equally well. You'll notice I also keep my mouthpiece in a bag. This is just the bag that came with Hiscox. And this was the one I used Kiwi for a while, but same deal. With the space, the Kiwi has a great cushion, but it just doesn't fit. And I don't just keep it in the bag, but I also keep the mouthpiece cap on it. Now this is a funky mouthpiece cap because the Francois Louis is a picky little ligature and he doesn't like mouthpiece caps. He's a little diva, but that's okay because it's the greatest ligature I've ever used. I don't really like the leather ones or the stock metal ones. The next thing I have in here, and this is something a lot of you need to get more familiar with, is, you guessed it, a cleaning rag. So let me demonstrate to you how to properly use one of these bad boys. I've just finished playing and I've just taken my saxophone apart. Now what I need to do is dry out everything inside of my saxophone. And I like to do this starting with the mouthpiece, so I'm going from smallest to largest. It doesn't really matter what order you do it, as long as you're keeping all of your pieces of equipment safe while you are disassembling. I know in a high school band locker room, keeping your instrument safe pretty much requires keeping it in the case or in your hands at all times. So you always want to go from wider end to smaller end. So I start with my mouthpiece and I pull it through. I always do 2 pull-throughs. Especially the silk swab. There's a lot of debate on whether silk swabs or microfiber swabs are better. A lot of saxophonists tend to go for the microfiber, but every other woodwind seems to prefer silk. I'm using a silk one because they didn't have microfiber when I went to the store 4 years ago. I could probably buy one now, but who wants to spend money during 2020, am I right? Same deal. I'm putting it in wide side first. That way we get no blockage. I have gotten cheaper, just straight up washcloth ones of these stuck in the horn, which is another reason I like silk so much, is because it won't get stuck in the horn, because it's really pliable, and you can see it's got all of these crinkles and things from when it gets squished and compressed in different ways. And this one is triangle shaped. I'm not sure exactly what that does for the instrument. I'm sure it has something to do with clarinets. So I did my body wrong for so long. I would try to put it in the top and flip it around, but it's much easier to go bell first. You just give it a little flip, pull it through. That's once. We do it one more time, flip and pull it through. Yeah. Sometimes he likes to get stuck on the beer key, which we'll be talking about the beer key in just a second. Dang it. I can't express enough, though, how much of a luxury it is to be able to safely clean out your horn. I remember in high school, I specifically got a tuba locker because we had 4 tuba lockers and 3 tubas. So I'd specifically steal one that was too big so I could climb inside of it and clean my saxophone without a trumpet kicking me in the face. So now I put my GapCap back on, I put everything back in its case, place it safely so that it's ready for next time you play. So you might be wondering, Sam, can I use one of these? I mean, it's so convenient. I just stick it in and pull it out, and then I stick it back in, and it's got a GapCap built in, and I can leave it in my saxophone. No! Don't do that. No. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. First of all, when you stick this in, you're not cleaning your neck, you're not cleaning your mouthpiece, and you're not cleaning the bell of your horn. This barely can get down to the bottom where all of the liquid's going to pool. Second of all of these fibers and stuff on it are going to shed eventually and get into your horn, which is going to cause leaks and issues. Number 3 is we clean out our horns to prevent leaks and to prevent mold. Now, mold grows in dark, warm places where there's water. When you put this inside of your horn, your warm horn that you've just spent so much time blowing air through, and you use this to soak up all the water, now all of your hot, sticky water is attached to this thing and sitting inside your dark case. You've essentially started a mold colony. Congratulations, you're a parent now. Don't use these. If you need to use them, do a quick stick in, stick out. Don't keep it in your case, and make sure I straight up shampoo this thing when I still used it, like once a month. All right, next up in the case, we got cork grease. Cork grease is amazing, and we all know how it works. You put a small dab of it on your cork to get your mouthpiece on and off smoother so that you don't break reeds or ligatures or anything else important when trying to get it on. The one thing I will warn you of is a lot of non-saxophonist middle school band teachers. That's not a call out to anybody in particular. We'll tell you that if you're having issues getting this part of your neck onto your horn, you should put cork grease on it. That's an absolute no-no, because the reason this part of your horn is not going on to the body is because it's got a buildup of gunk and sugar and carbs and all of the stuff that was in your mouth and then you blew into your horn through your spit. And putting more gunk on it is only going to make the problem worse. So if you're experiencing that issue, get a washcloth, get it slightly damp, and put a little bit of detergent on it, and gently wipe this whole area and the inside of the body where this inserts in. That will help you a lot more than throwing a bunch of grease on top of a bunch of gunk. So we've all been in that situation where we're in the middle of the gig and suddenly our G sharp key or our D sharp key starts sticking, and oh my god, we're panicking, we don't know how to fix this, and what are we going to do? Here's the easy short-term and long-term solutions to both issues. And I'm going to demonstrate this on my D sharp key, which is colloquially known as the beer key. And it's called the beer key because if you are over the age of 21 or 16 if you live in Germany, you'll be playing at bars and you'll be drinking beer. And it's sucrose and the sugar molecules that are what messes up the glue on your pads and sticks to the inside of your horn and just generally messes up your playing. But if you look at the horn, when you play and there is gunk in your face, it goes straight through the neck and it sinks down the horn and gets stuck right at the bottom, which is your D sharp key, hence the nickname beer key. That's my other tip to y'all. Do not eat or drink anything that is not water within an hour of playing. And if you do have to do that, brush your teeth afterwards. For a really long time, I kept a toothbrush in my case. I don't currently because I'm at home, but back in school, I always had one in there. Also, change your toothbrush every month or so. That's disgusting. Anyway, simply take a piece of woodwind drying paper or blotting paper or a dollar bill, stick it in, open your key up. It's a little tricky around the beer key because you've got your little protectors to keep it in place. Drop it down. Now only do this with like 1 or 2 fingers because you don't want to press down really hard and rip the paper, but you do want to apply enough pressure so that you can soak up all the gunk. Press down gently, slide it out. And do that a couple times, as many times as you need. I'll demonstrate. You can also do it with a crisp dollar bill because dollars have, I don't even know what they have in them, but they have stuff that makes them absorb oil really well. So they work really nicely too. So we can just stick that in there. Look at that, looking nice. You can see it's coming out the other edge, so it's covering everything on the key. Press down gently, pull it out. If you're ever in a store that sells makeup, so like literally any store, like Target, Meijer, Sephora, anywhere, you can also buy blotting paper. Same concept, we're just taking out gunk. Now, if you're having this issue like consistently over multiple gigs, and you've stopped eating sugar and stuff before your show and you're still having this issue, you're gonna hate me so much for this suggestion, but it actually works. Get sandpaper and do the same thing. Now, you have to use really fine sandpaper. This is 600 grit. I would not use anything rougher than this because the idea is we're scraping off that built up gunk. We are not scraping away the metal. So this time I will demonstrate on the G sharp key. You can see it right there, opening and closing. Get it so that gritty side is going down on the horn. Same thing, drop it in, press gently, scrape it out. I hate that sound. And that'll help too. You're probably sitting here thinking, Sam, what the heck, that's horrible. And if you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. So sticky keys are like both the most common and the easiest problem to fix. You can literally use any dry papery substance to clean them up. And although sandpaper might be a little bit harder to get, it's something that you can fix and you don't need to take to a shop. Just be careful that you're recognizing when it's a leaky key and when it's just a sticky key. A sticky key is going to stick. If you press it down, it's not going to open immediately back up. And if it's a leaky key, it will open immediately back up. But you can probably tell your my pads are orange. I don't know what color other saxophones are, but you'll see they're kind of turning into that nasty crackly color. And then you can guess it's probably a leak. And that is something that you should be taking to a place to get fixed. All right, and the last super major thing I have in my case is a Woodman screwdriver with different screw settings. So here's what you can do with it. You'll notice that on certain parts of your horn, for me it's always the palm keys. For other people, it might be your springs down here. But you've got these little, mine are burnished metal color screws. And sometimes if you press them too often, they'll start to come loose. So literally, all you have to do, I'm going to unscrew this one a little bit so that you can see me screw it back in. But I assume you all know how screws work. So you can see that. This one I have sticking out just a little bit. And we want these palm keys screwed in so that they're flush with the metal. So I'm literally just going to take this, screw it in. Now I could keep screwing in, but you can see it's no longer sticking out. Don't screw it in further. If you screw it in further, you could mess things up. And I know for some instruments like flutes, you shouldn't really touch the screws at all unless you absolutely know what you're doing. I would not give this to Dad and be like, hey, can you fix this? Because I've heard plenty of stories of well-meaning parents who screw everything in and suddenly their shop bill has just become $50 higher. So make sure you do a little research with these. But as long as you're keeping a close eye on where your screws are at and where they should be at, this is a great tool to have. And unlike using guitar picks or your nail, it'll be really easy and it won't mess everything up. So there are all of my major maintenance tricks. You'll notice the only thing left in my case are my reeds. Reeds are a completely different beast that I'm going to make another video to talk about because there's a lot of ways that you can store them depending on your climate and how you like to keep them. I also usually tie my neck strap to the handle on my case because, again, I have a saxophone case that is the equivalent of a New York apartment. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something new. If you know any other tricks to keep your saxophone in tip-top condition that you'd like to share, I'd love to see them in the comments. And as always, if you enjoy these videos, if you think my voice is not horribly annoying, and you like learning new things about your saxophone, please give me a follow. I would love that. Have a good one, y'all.